Okay, class, we're going to go over our bell ringer for today. Percent means per 100. Okay, we're going to discuss as a class where you would see percents, fractions, and decimals in your daily lives. So we're going to make a list. So can anybody tell me where you might see percents? Okay, good. Test scores like 90% or 60%. That's good. Can anyone tell me where you might see fractions in your daily lives? Okay, good. Cooking would be an example, like 2/3 of a cup or 1 3/4 tablespoons. Where would you see decimals in your daily life? Okay, good. An example would be maybe like a radio station, like 97.9 or 104.7. So those are some good examples of where we would see fractions, percents, and decimals in our daily lives. Okay, so now I need you to get out a sheet of paper. We're going to do an activity called sense or nonsense. And you're going to determine whether or not, I'm going to read you a statement, you're going to determine whether or not that these percentages make sense or not. This is a way that you can test the reasonableness of an answer in the future. So let's look at number 1. Mr. Bragg says he is right 100% of the time. Is he bragging? Could you be right 100% of the time? See if that answer would make sense. Or if it's nonsense, write down nonsense. Okay, number 2. Cindy spends 100% of her allowance on candy. Do you think this is sensible? Would that be possible to spend 100% of your allowance on candy? Does that make sense or is that nonsense? Okay, number 3. Rosa has a paper route. She gets 25% of what she collects. Is this a good deal? Alright, we're going to go over our answers and discuss them as a class. Would it be correct to say someone's bragging if they're saying they're right 100% of the time? Definitely. They would definitely be bragging. Did y'all get that one right? Okay, number 2. Would that be smart to spend 100% of your allowance on candy? Probably not. That would probably be nonsense. You would probably want to write nonsense on that one. Did y'all get that? Okay, what about getting 25% of what you collect on a paper route? Would that be sensible? Yeah, I think so. That's a pretty good deal. You get basically a fourth, and we're going to talk about how I got that in just a minute. A fourth of, whatever she collects, she gets to keep. So that's pretty good, and that's decent. So that would probably be sense. Did y'all get that one right? Okay, good job. Now I'm going to pass out our notes for today, and we're going to work some examples on how to convert from fractions to decimals to percents. All of these are interchangeable, and we're going to learn today how to do all of these. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is to determine how to convert a fraction into a decimal. So on your sheet, you got some guided notes. I want you to fill in how the steps for converting a fraction to a decimal. And what we're going to do is we're going to remember what we talked about fractions last week, about how we know that the top number is called the numerator and the bottom number is called the denominator. So for our notes for fraction to decimal, we're going to put divide the numerator by the denominator. I'm going to give y'all time to write that down. Divide the numerator by the denominator. And we're going to work a couple of examples here. So the first example we have is on your paper. It says 1/4. I need you to get out your calculator. Everybody's got a calculator, and I need you to type in 1 divided by 4 on your calculator. So if we divide the numerator by the denominator, we get 0.25 or 25 hundredths. So you should have gotten 25 hundredths. Everybody getting that? Does anybody need help on their calculator? Okay. The next one we're going to try to do is 4/5. I want you to type that one in. 4 divided by 5 and tell me what you get. Okay, good job. 0.8. That's 8/10. So 8/10 is the answer you should have gotten. So now we're going to try one on our own. I want you to try to do 1/10. Try to make that into a decimal. 1/10. Someone tell me what you get. Okay, good job. 0.1 or 1/10. So that's basically like what we just said. 1/10 as a fraction is 1/10 as a decimal, right? It's kind of like what we say as a decimal. So that one is unique. Okay, the next section of our notes is going to be decimals to percents. We're going to learn how to convert a decimal into a percent. So we're going to have 2 steps to do this. We're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right when we're converting from a decimal to a percent. We want to go move our decimal 2 places to the right. And then we're going to have to look to see if we need to add any zeros for placeholders, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So I need you to write those 2 steps down on your notes. Okay, now we're going to work some examples. So we start out with 25 hundredths, 0.25. If we move that decimal 2 places to the right, and we're going to add a percent sign, so we're going to get 25%. So 0.25 or 25 hundredths is 25%. Okay, 0.8 or 8 tenths. What would we do? Which way are we going to go? Good, we're going to go to the right. We're going to have to add a 0 for a placeholder for this one because we have only 1 decimal place after our decimal. We need to move 2 places to the right. So to hold that place, we're going to put in a 0, so we end up getting 80%. So 0.8 or 8 tenths is 80%. I want you to try to do 0.1 and tell me what you get. Okay, good job. 10%. So you should have gotten 10%. Okay, next we're going to do percent to decimal. And then to do this, we're going to go backwards. We're going to move our decimal 2 places to the left this time. And then we're going to have to look to see if we need to add any zeros for placeholders. So I'm going to give you a second to write that down. And then we're going to work some examples together. Okay, our first example is 70%. And we're going to move this decimal 2 places to the left. We start at the end of the number and we're going to move 2 places to the left. So 0 and then jump to the 7 and we get 0.7. So 0.7 or 0.70, both of those. So 70% is 0.7. Okay, 15%. If I move that 2 places to the left, I get 0.15 or 15 hundredths. Okay, so I want you to try 2%. See what you get on that. Good job. We got 0.02. We moved it 2 places to the left. We had to have a 0 for a placeholder. Good job. So 0.02 is 2%. Okay, our next conversion is going to be fractions to percents. You're going to change the fraction to a decimal and then change the decimal to a percent. So we already know how to do that number 2 step. So we're going to change the fraction to a decimal. And we actually know how to do both of those. So we're going to first try 2/5. We're going to type that into our calculator. And when you get 2 divided by 5, you get 0.4. So to get 0.4 to a percentage, I'm going to need to move that decimal 2 places to the right. Am I going to have to add a 0? Yes. So we end up getting 40% on that. So 2/5 is 40%. Okay, I want you to try with me 3/10. So if we're changing that to a percent, I'm going to first divide 3 by 10, the numerator by the denominator. On my calculator, type in 3 divided by 10. Once you get that answer of 0.3, you can move the decimal 2 places to the right. And yeah, we're going to have to add another 0 on this one. So we get 30%. So I want you to try 1/4. Type in 1 divided by 4 on your calculator and change that to a percent. And tell me what you get. Good job, class. We got 25%. 1/4 is 0.25 or 25 hundredths, and that's actually 25%. Good job. Okay, next we're going to change percent to a fraction. I'm going to give you a few seconds to write this down. We're going to put percent over 100, and then we're going to reduce the fraction if possible. So I want you to put your percent over 100, and then we're going to reduce that fraction if we can. All right, we're going to start with some examples here. 32% is 32 over 100. And can 32 over 100 be reduced? Yes. We can divide the numerator and the denominator by what number? Good job, 4. So we're going to divide top and bottom by 4 and we get 8 over 25. Okay, number 2, 60%. We're going to write that as 60 over 100. And we're going to reduce that. And 20 goes into both of those. So 20 goes into 63 times and 20 goes into 105. So that reduces to 3/5. So 60% is 3/5. I want you to try to do 20%. When you get an answer, raise your hand and I'll check and see if you got the right answer. Okay? Good job. You got 1/5. 20% is 20 over 100. And we're going to reduce both of those by 20. And we get 1 over 5. Good job. Okay, our last example. Last set of examples is going to be changing a decimal to a fraction. And you're going to write the decimal as you say it. Like the correct way to say it, not 0.15. We're going to say 15 over 100. We're going to say it in the correct way. Once we say it the correct way, we're going to reduce that fraction if we can. So let's look at 0.15, like what I just said. That is 15 hundredths if we say it correctly, like we're supposed to. And 15 over 100 reduces top and bottom by 5. We get 3 over 20. So 3/20ths. So 0.15 is 3/20ths. 0.85, if I said that correctly, it'd be 85 hundredths. And 85 over 100 reduces to 17 over 20. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to do 0.22 and tell me what you get. Alright, we get 22 over 100, which is 11 over 50. Good job. Do we have any questions on any of these conversions? Okay, good job. Now, what I'm going to do next is pass out a sheet of cardstock. Everyone's going to get a sheet of cardstock like this. And then I'm going to pass out everyone a pair of scissors. And we're going to do a foldable activity as a way for me to check to see if you're understanding what we're doing in here. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make a foldable. And you're going to fold your paper like so. And this is the way it's going to open. And then we're going to fold it again 3 ways. Like so. And then I'm going to cut only the top. And you're going to cut it like this. So we have little doors that open up. And what you're going to do is we're going to take this paper and we're going to list every conversion that we talked about today. There's 6 of them. And you're going to put them on the flaps in the front. And then when you open up the flap, each part is going to have 2 boxes. In this first box, I want you to write the steps for the conversion in your own words. And then over here, I want you to create 2 examples. Not the ones that we did in class, but 2 different examples. And I want you to get those correct, convert those correctly. And you're going to do that for each of the different conversions that we have. On the back, I want you to tell how this concept can be used to find sales tax or discount on an item in a store. How would I need to use this in my real life example of going shopping and finding a discounted item or doing the sales tax on an item? How would we need to use this in real life? Okay, and tomorrow we're going to go over how this concept goes over to ratios and proportions. We're going to use these same concepts when we do ratios and proportions tomorrow. And then you need to be looking for a quiz on Friday that's going to incorporate all of these concepts that we learned this week. And tonight for homework, you're going to finish that worksheet I gave you that we went over in class. There's some more problems on there. I want you to finish that for homework tonight, and we'll check that tomorrow in class. So y'all go ahead and get started. And this is actually the finished product that I did. And this is how it's supposed to look when the students get finished with everything. And then this is their real life example in the back. Thank you.